Live here and answer some common marketing questions. Haven't done this in a hot minute, so I'm gonna pull some music up here because I can't stand silence. My team knows that. And we're gonna fire up a couple things here. Walk through some stuff. Minimal house going. Damn. All right. So we're going to walk through a couple questions. I kind of recorded a bunch that I had this week. This week, a lot of people were reaching out. Some people are getting kind of either slow or extremely busy. It's kind of, there's a lot of mystery in the world for PPF, tint, coatings, not detailing. Detailing seems to be crazy right now. But I will actually kind of walk through some search volume trends as well of what's kind of going on in the industry, and answer some common questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them in here, and I'll be sure to take a look and see if we can't roll them through. So let's go ahead and start off with a couple questions that came up this week, and hopefully these questions and answers can kind of help maybe your business. I'm sure if these people have this question, you might have this question as well. So here's my favorite one. Ben Runkle got this one here at the last minute. He says, how to generate a bigger following on your social media, specifically to your region, and how to get more valuable eyes on your content. Okay, so this is a great question. Thank you, Ben, for saying this one at the last minute. I love this question. So a lot of times what people are doing is they're trying to, you have to, at the end of the day, make social media some sort of entertainment or memorable, and you have to be consistent. A lot of times social media is for a lot of detailing companies, a lot of detailing shops. Social media is like a pulse to make sure that you're alive. We notice that a lot of times when people go to a website, they actually flip to a Facebook or an Instagram, and then they come back to the site. It's usually what's called a reverb that usually typically happens. So it's actually like a check to see if you're active. Nobody really wants to deal with a business that hasn't really shown that they're alive in the past couple of years. He's got a great question here that says he's talking about specifically to your region. I said this back in November. A couple people have taken this up. One of the things I think most guys are sleeping on is they're not creating content for their community. And a perfect example is like, let's say you're Joe in Chicago and you're going to make social media content about your PPF and tint business. The most common customer who's going to have money is other business owners a lot of times. Why would you not have, a perfect opportunity to invite people to your shop, see your shop, shake your hand? It's actually just to have a local podcast for your county or your area. You guys know that the hardest thing to do is actually get to shake someone's hand and see you. If you get them to your shop, you're most likely going to lock them down, right? They see your services, they see your quality, they see how clean your shop is. It's like a done deal. And man, if you can get someone there on a podcast, like, hey, the best one is to interview is real estate agents or brokers and say, oh, you're a figure in the community. I'm starting to interview a lot of local community leaders about business, the industry, whatever it is. One is they love that content. They love to share that content. Who doesn't want to be on a podcast? You get the exposure that they're going to bring, vice versa. And then the next time that real estate agent's talking about a car, you'll be like, oh yeah, I went to Joe's shop in Chicago. It was super clean. I've never seen a facility like that. That's a great way to really pull in localized regional content. I would rather have 15 to 2,000 local people on my social media than 30,000 online personally. You'll get a higher engagement and stuff like that. So my suggestion is really kind of pull in localized content for like podcasts, especially. I know Jared Clausen's doing this. He's had an insane amount of change in his business and getting recognized just for interviewing local business owners. So great question there. So this one was, what is the biggest slept item on SEO right now? What is the biggest slept on item on SEO? Most people are not doing all major three things on SEO. So, I have a guy on one of our sites. All he's doing is just blogging. He's going to ask me in 6 months, how come it's not getting the results that he's expecting? With SEO, it's like working out. You have to go to the gym, you have to eat right, and you have to sleep well and take the proper vitamins. If you don't really do all three of those things, if you just go to the gym but you eat McDonald's right away, you're really missing all the benefits of SEO and you're not going to see those results as fast. So the thing with SEO that a lot of people are coming in, I had a guy that just added AI to his site. I saw him post, oh, it's going to be blogging for me, and it fixed some of the code stuff, but it doesn't offer reporting. It doesn't do backlinks. It doesn't do Google Business. It's missing some of the biggest factors. So in my opinion, with SEO, the biggest thing that's really being slept on today is that nobody is really looking at, unless you're really in that price territory of looking at all three things: off page, on page, technical, all pieces of that. Google Business is still being slept on, hands down. If anyone calls me that they're slow and say, hey, I'm slow, I don't know what to do, I'll always look at their Google Business and I'll notice that those people do not post at all. I just don't hear back from people that I'm super slow. The guys that are active on social, active on Google Business, are running ads, any of that nature. So I don't hear from those people. There's definitely a correlation. We deal with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shops. So there's definitely a correlation of activity to result. And that's the biggest thing. That was a fucking tangent if I've ever seen one. All right. So we're going to hide this one. What advice would you give shops in terms of advertising calendar? When should they double down on spending, and when to hold back? How should they view the year, both in slower times and more lucrative times? This is Kevin from our team that posted this. So I think this is a great question. The biggest thing is with a calendar, if you're kind of the person that freaks out when it's slow, you need to be on a calendar. That's the reality of it. I look at everything as like launch. So if you know you're going to be busy in April, and you know you're not going to be busy in December or January, you should really start looking at, what can I do 60 to 90 days ahead of this to start my advertising calendar now. The guys that are super busy April 1st, I noticed we're advertising in March and February, hands down. Obviously there's flukes and stuff, and there's guys that are, busy all the time, but there's definitely just, once again, a correlation to the amount of labor equals the amount of results. It's not that hard to see visually, at least on our side. So if you know you're going to be slow in December, why don't you start looking at what kind of emails you can send in September that are kind of training up to this stuff? So I would try and tell you, get on like a 90-day, get ahead of stuff 90 days, 60 days. If you have a Sunday that you pick out once a month and you develop the stuff for the next 3 months, your life's going to be way easier. You're not going to be as frantic if you're that type of person. So great question from Kevin. Hopefully I answered that in the way that Kevin wanted. All right. So can you explain partnership versus outright website purchase? Yeah. So that's a great question. So if you do a website with us, we give you a price of what the website is. If you do a partnership model, we take a discounted down initial invoice, and the monthly goes towards the buy off of that site. I've been saying this for years, everybody. It's on our website. We want you to stay on that monthly. So at any point in time, you can hop off that monthly and pay the balance of the site. You own it, you run it, do everything. We want to provide an insane amount of value for that monthly. It takes usually about 2 years, 2.5 years for it to pay off. We want you to be like, oh, I'm just going to stay on the monthly. The support I get, they do all these changes. They're proactive. They have these pieces. So we have like all these things like 30-month refresh and stuff that we don't actively talk about too much, but we really want to give you guys every reason not to leave. And if you really want to run your own site, then absolutely just do the buyout. To me, a partnership is like, I always wanted someone, if I had changes to my site, I wanted changes done as quickly, efficiently, and effectively as possible. You'd be surprised the amount of times people come in, they give us a video, we have to condense it, optimize it, geotag it, everything. We do it all. So, and that's the beauty of the partnership, is that someone on the team is always willing to do that for you. All right, this is Matt Jones. I'm gonna have to tag him for this one. So he said in this one, how can you tell if one city is more likely to support you than another? Like, I see a medium income, and assuming that is relatively the same population size. He's actually got a backup question. He goes, how do you determine if moving will impact your business? So moving is the most disruptive thing to your business. Nobody loves hearing that one, but that's usually the reality. Is like, if you move to a whole nother city, sometimes even a couple streets, by far one of the most disruptive things you can do in your business. What you should know before you ever ask this question is, who's your target demographic, and how often are they currently coming to buy from your website or your service business now? So if Matt looks at his customer base and says, I deal with a shit ton of 40-year-olds that have XYZ cars, you want to make sure that that demographic is actually in your city that you're looking at. Too many people look at, well, the rent is cheaper here or that. Unfortunately, with a luxury type of product such as PPF, window tinting, ceramic coating, unless you're like the only game in town or you have the most amazing social media, which there's things to be said about social media can carry you there, is that localized results and being a certain amount of distance from customers is a huge impact. The average consumer, and you can look this up, typically doesn't want to drive more than 21 minutes for service. I use a mechanic that's 45 minutes away. I love him. His name's Joe Donovan from Joe's Garage. Love it. Love the service. He's 40 minutes away. It's a pain to get to him every time. It's a pain point. I would never bring my car anywhere else, but it is like, it stops me from immediately like going in there as often. I mean, probably as honest. I mean, Joe's actually nice. He takes the car with him to work. So honestly, I always look at it as, look at the demographic of where you're moving. So if you're moving 20 minutes away, you're thinking you're moving 20 minutes from your current town, you got to really look at the list. Export all the list out of your CRM. Where is everybody living? And you got to realize, if you were in the middle and someone was 10 minutes that way and you're moving 20 minutes the other direction, you're now like 30 to 40 for that person. It's a real thing to consider, that moving will drastically affect your business. Nobody loves hearing that, but that's just the reality of it. If you're unsure, take a balance of 10 customers that are 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes away. Take 10 each. Call those people. You might even sell some detailing because you're proactively calling. Call those people and ask, hey, can I send you this link? Here's where my shop's going to be. I've been to my shop a couple times, this year. What do you think? I'm moving out here. I just want your honest opinion. If you think, if I moved out for that far, I know you're going to probably tell me, yes, you'll come. What's your honest opinion of coming there? You'll get a lot of your current customers. They'll probably say yes. But you got to really think of that demographic, that 35, 45, 50-year-old. Where are they living in that city within 20 minutes of coming to there? So just something to think about. It's not always financial stuff. So great question on that one. And here's a good AI question. Can we directly copy and paste from ChatGPT for our GMB posts, or do we need to alter it? I remember hearing something about Google being able to recognize if it does come from ChatGPT. So right now, what we notice is that Google does actively do better with optimized language on your Google Business posts. So if like we actually use like a keyword tool that tells us what posts we need to say, how many times we need to say it, and then we'll either use AI assisted pieces like that. But if you were to take ChatGPT, just drop it right into your Google My Business. Currently, today, I'm not seeing any massive difference from that compared to a natural handwritten stuff. So I would say you're more than fine. I would always tell people too, is if you have Facebook, if you have Instagram, you've been using posts for 3, 4, 5 years, put those posts in your Google Business. Google Business wants to see, movement of responding to reviews, profile fully filled out, pictures, reviews themselves, not just responding, and then updates, FAQs, Q&As, stuff like that. It's the effort that moves the needle right now the most. Now that might change to be like AI detected, but right now what's moving the needle the most is the effort and the results pushing that the most. You notice on Google Business, if you make a post, it might show you 7 to 12 views, but your business gets 4, 5, 6, 7,000 views in a couple weeks or a month. It's not the individual post right now that's so extreme. It's the effort of making the post. We just go the extra mile and do AI keyword assisted pieces. So it says, hey, if you're going to mention paint protection film, you need to mention these 9 words. And we typically are writing 60 to 120 words with a picture that's geotagged. So that's really it. I'm trying to see if there was anything else in chat. I'm currently getting my built website. Is it mandatory to have my own address on the website since I'm mobile? Great question. You don't have to have your address on there. I would highly recommend it. So it is a signal for Google to see your address on your site visible. And then we do additional things where if you see on our site, you'll always see something like it says United States of America. It's not because we don't think people aren't in the US. It's a Google schema thing that basically allows Google all the signals to say you're there. You don't have to do it. I would say the benefit is higher if you do. You can always hide it. I think a lot of people are afraid that somebody's going to stop by, knock on their door, or something of that nature. You don't have to do it, but I would recommend keeping it on there for sure. So I've been posting for 7 straight days. I love it. Super easy, just posting with copy and paste. Yep. Yeah, you've already done the work. Just repost that stuff for sure. And then my question is, what is the best cheese in Wisconsin? Cheddar. Clearly, it's not even a question for sure. Almost ready to launch. Hell yeah. So cool. I appreciate it, guys. We're going to in future probably do some more of these and then probably talk to a couple people on them. If you have any questions, let us